Do you
But yeah,
think that the record label's ability to scout talent ahead of others has decreased in the digital world?
um, I think it's more of a level playing field, to be absolutely honest, because it's probably less about personal relationship and networks, and more about, do I have access to the data? A lot of people have access to the data now. I mean, actually, I would argue, well, it's a case, is that it's a fact, is that streaming companies, I would argue, have better data. Because the interesting thing I think about the music business, which is kind of strange, is by and large, music companies have never sold to the end user. It's you don't have a relationship with the end user. Your relationship, by and large, was with media. You sold to radio, you sold to retail, um, and of course, the likes of Spotify and Apple and Co have direct access to those end users. They know exactly what they're listening to, when they're listening to it, and a lot more about them than the majors would have. Now, obviously, Spotify and Apple do share a lot of that data, but they don't. They share the data based on the repertoire that they control, the repertoire that the majors control. So, but they don't see the entire kind of, I don't want to say the universe of repertoire out there, and see how people are behaving with it. So the data they have is richer. You also have quite a few sort of recent startups springing up who are really sort of data mining companies like Chartmetric and Instrumental, who are, mining, I would say, mostly Spotify data to, and they build an algorithm which is proven to be an early warning sign, and that will throw up these kind of tracks. But it tends to throw up tracks. It doesn't necessarily throw up stars, without using a very old A&R word. And that's the thing again, where a skill set of an A&R is someone who actually can hear the track, go, yeah, that sounds like it could be a hit. But then meeting that person, and the person, you have a genius record with a non-entity fronting it, and it won't work. You need a combination of the two.
Do you think Spotify has a large opportunity in A&R with the data they have?
Yes, but they've been very wary about going there because they don't really want to, which I understand, because it would be such a sort of red rag to the majors right now that they really, and funnily enough, they did kind of flirt with it a little bit, which is, there are a number of, a lot of actually third-party aggregators. So companies who provide artist services, there's companies like Cobalt, AWOL, there's companies like DistroKid and CD Baby, who are all sort of independent and provide a suite of services for independent artists who want to retain ownership of their rights. Spotify actually acquired a company called DistroKid, which is one of these companies, as a kind of gateway for unsigned artists to have a direct into Spotify, and they would obviously have that access. But it's something they didn't really pursue. And I think the reason for it is because there's a huge amount of, if you look at the business now, I mean, Spotify get 40,000 plus tracks a day. The vast majority of those, frankly, will do under 10,000 streams. Is an awful lot of work for a fairly small amount of return. And I think their view was that, what we want to be a good partner to every distributor and keep the playing field as level as we possibly can. That's in our best interest. That's not to say that, I do see this happening at some point. There's a very interesting turning point, I think, in the majors now. So, I think you'll see most analysts would look at the business, or certainly a good degree of analysts look at the business as a, wow, the growth is phenomenal. We're still at the sort of relatively early stages of streaming. Although, I would say that sort of the most, certainly where the highest ARPU is North America and UK and Scandinavia and Europe. That's kind of maturing in terms of paid subscribers. So the most significant part of that growth is coming from developing countries where the subscription rate is low, the ARPU is much lower, but the volume is there. And I think, again, Spotify definitely took the view, and I think the majors have taken the view that actually there's no point us trying to turn the screws when it comes to premium subscriber growth. It's now about volume. But yeah, I mean, I think you can see the point where as I said, so on paper, it looks like this is just, you know, the graph's going to keep going that way as more people adopt streaming services, and streaming is almost going to be, you know, a utility. You know, you'll turn it on, music is there, and they'll reach a certain degree of scale when there's enough consumers, and they can slice and dice in a way where actually advertising will be a reasonably lucrative part of the streaming equation. Right now, it's not at all. It's literally less than 10% of subscription revenue. But I think when you get to that level of scale, and as I said, and Spotify has that level of reach, artists kind of got to look at the way they're engaging with majors right now. And there's, you know, you have to think, well, why is Drake, as an example, why would he want to stay with Universal under those circumstances? Certainly on the level he's staying with, although he has a very favourable deal, you know, he could look around and go, look, I can do a direct deal with Spotify, Apple, Deezer, Tidal, whatever it wants to do. I can get Samsung to pay for mine, which, you know, Jay-Z has done. I don't need a major label